Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're so welcome. I'm happy to be here.
So you're the owner of Maxwell Mortgage Team.
Yes,
I see you guys everywhere around town, just different events or sponsoring different things. And it's exciting to have you on today. Tell us a little bit about, where you grew up and how you made yourself to the Naples area.
Okay. So I grew up in Massachusetts, and I graduated college in 1987. And from there, I got an interview to be in the mortgage business. And I went to this interview, and they were talking to me about it, and they hired me. Meanwhile, I didn't even know what a mortgage was. And I just remember cold calling on realtors back then. We didn't have cell phones, okay? So you'd literally go to real estate offices and bring rate sheets and pieces of paper and tell them what they wanted to hear. And I started getting loans in. And that's how I made my start in Massachusetts in 1987.
And you went directly into mortgage, or did you do like real estate first and then transitioned into?
I went directly into mortgages, and actually I was in mortgages and I was in sales.
Okay.
And the end of 88 is when I moved to Naples. Mm-hmm. And I decided, you know what? I really want to learn the back history of how to get a mortgage to closing, because I was taking a lot of mortgages in, but I was only closing like 20 or 25% of them because it would go through processing or underwriting, and they were telling me why we couldn't do it. And I didn't understand it because I was never trained. I was just out there selling mortgages. I'm a salesperson. So I actually went into processing when I came to Florida, and I did that. And from there, I was a processor. I was an operations manager. I was an underwriter. I was a closer. And then in 1994, somebody came to me and said, you need to open up your own branch. And I did. And then in February of 96, I went straight retail, meaning I didn't work directly for builders. And I opened up my own Maxwell Mortgage Team branch under a place called Market Street Mortgage. Mm-hmm. And I had a mentor. He hired me. And from there, I never looked back. And that's still what I do today.
How many years into when you started did you open up your own branch?
Well, I branded my own branch, I would say completely my own, with my own building and everything, in February of 1996.
96.
So from 87 all the way to 96. So when people come and interview with me and they say, hey, how much money am I going to make? When can I be like you? Well, in 9 years. Well, it doesn't happen overnight. And
right.
I put in a lot of work. I remember when my kids were little, when I would put them to bed and I would go back to the office and in 94 and 95, and I would be working till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, just preparing closing packages, getting everything ready. So I really did everything. It wasn't just going out there and selling at that point. So that's why my staff today, there's nothing I won't ask them to do that I haven't done or can't do or don't know how to do, because you put in the work.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about that, because there's a lot of people that think that they go into real estate and they're going to make a lot, But can you tell us from your experience, in order to have success, what is the one thing that has worked for you?
Being accountable. Answering my phone. I see too many people, and I'm not knocking anybody. Everybody can live their lives different, but the reason I feel for my success is I might, do well 1 month. I don't go on vacation for a month or for 2 weeks. And if I do go on vacation for 5 days, my phone is still always on. And people might say that's not healthy, but it works for me and I like it. So being accountable, knowing my realtors, my clients, my builders can reach me by email, by phone call. I don't go to bed at all until every single email and phone call is answered that night, or I wouldn't be able to sleep. I tell my clients, listen, if I don't get back to you in 24 hours, then I'm either dead or I did not get your email or phone call, because
something happened to you.
It's very important to, people, even if it's bad news, no news, they just want to know. Mm-hmm. And I think just being in contact, that definitely works for me. So, and if I say I'm going to do something and get a deal closed, it's going to close. Yeah. Unless, something happens, somebody dies, somebody loses their job. But as far as our part, we're going to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always a solution when somebody really wants to get a home. Even when things happen, people lose their jobs. I mean, things happen. They forget. They co-sign for a kid. It just things happen. But we want to find solutions and help them get to that point. We don't just give up.
Right.
Yeah. We met a lot of people, and they a couple of them or a few of them said you have to talk to Lauren Maxwell. Like a lot of people talk about you. Why do you think, in a good way? Why do you think that is?
Well, maybe not so good sometimes. Why? Well, I also am out there and I've learned because, I've been here since I've been 21 years old. I grew my family here. Between my husband and I, we have 6 children. We have 3 grandbabies now. But God has been so good to us. Naples has been so good to us. So we really try to give back. So almost any time that somebody asks me to sponsor an event, to do something for an event, to help a family out, I never say no. I don't care whether it's a $25 donation or if it's a speaking engagement, or it's sponsoring a table. Just showing up, being there, but giving back to the community. So I think that's why people know me, because we really try to give back to everything that we can and to help people. We don't like to ask for things, we like to give. And then in turn, I just feel that, life and my business has been really good for me. And I'm, again, being on top of your game for your business. You cannot get into this business being money motivated. I know, people want to say, oh yeah, well, she has this, she has that. I can promise you today, I'm still not money motivated. I will do $75,000 manufactured homes to a $7 million mortgage. I look at it by the transaction and getting to know the people. And I just feel it's really important to treat everybody the same.
Yeah.
If I'm respected, I am going to respect you.
What's the motivation? If you're not money motivated, what's the motivation?
I love it. I like being number one. I really do. I love the art of the deal. Yeah. I still do. I still, take my daughter to school at 7:30 every morning. I'm at the office at 7:45. I leave at 7 or 7:30 at night, and I go home, spend time with my family, and then I work again until midnight. But I really love it. It's a high for me. I don't smoke. I'm not a drinker. I don't do drugs. Mortgages is my addiction. I love it. That really is true, though.
Yeah. And so for mortgage brokers, you're providing the loans for the deal. What in your opinion, if somebody wanted to get into, you could classify that as real estate industry, correct?
Well, it's more finance, mortgage industry, finance.
Are you doing more residential or commercial, or just a mix of?
99% of it's residential. 99%. Single family, 1 to 4 family, condos, manufactured homes. Now, I do have outlets for commercial, but it's not something that I ever market. Got
it. So mainly residential. So it's all, you're the one that provides the loan, right? For the whole deal. If somebody wanted to get into, let's say, into the mortgage scene, what would you give, like, a piece of advice, like, to getting into?
Sure.
If it's not, and they are maybe money motivated, what would you say to that person?
You're probably going to fail.
Really?
I mean, if you're just doing it for money, because there's so much more to it. You have to listen. I feel that I am an educator. A credit educator. I mean, a lot of my people start with me at a 500 credit score. I don't give up on them, as where a lot of, this is from what I hear. I don't know it because my team doesn't do it. When somebody has real low credit, then another mortgage person might just pass. I'll work with that person for 2 years. I'll give them a credit simulator. They'll come in sometimes, every 6 months just to go over their finances. So I really believe if you're money motivated and that's all you want to do, it might not work.
Right.
I mean, if it does work for you, great. I know that from the people that I see, my most successful people who work for me, I don't hire somebody right off the street who's going to get their license. So I can tell you that. I just, I don't have that kind of manpower or, truthfully, patience. If I'm going to have patience, it's going to be for my clients and working with them. And my most successful salespeople who work for me, who are phenomenal, by the way, I have an amazing team. They all came from a bank. because I believe that they should go through that pilot program. It's not a lot of money. That's why I said if you're just money motivated, it's probably a $40,000 or $45,000 a year start pay. But you learn the skills, you learn the lingo of what it's called, what Fannie Mae is, what FHA is, what VA is. You learn customer service, you learn about credit, you learn about ratios, you learn about all different kinds of criteria, what can be done. It's not everything we can do, but it sure is a great base. And I've taken a guy from 2 years ago who was closing maybe $10 million a year, who's now closing $38 million a year. That's a huge difference. And plus, you make a lot more too. So that, again, he wasn't money motivated. He came to me and interviewed me, and his personality was so amazing that I'm like, oh my God, you're going to be great. You know the skills of banking, mortgages, and you care, and you're outgoing. So again, I hired the best hires, like 5 of them right now, all came from banks.
Wow. Wow.
And that's what I would tell you. So if you came to me and said, Lauren, I don't want to do podcasts anymore, I want to get in the mortgage business, I'd say go get yourself a job with a Bank of America or a Fifth Third or somewhere in the mortgage department and learn what you can. Soak it all in for that first year or two.
So you don't get nobody just like to begin their career with you.
Not
they
today.
have to have, a background.
Listen, I'm a little too old for that today. I've been doing this 37 years. You wouldn't want me to train you.
Yeah.
My team still laughs at me. They come in, we review files, and they go, oh my God, I can't believe you did that, but you're a terrible trainer. You go so fast. So like, I have to just get through my day. Yeah. So it wouldn't be for me. I would be giving them a disservice at this point. Okay. Wow. So that's why I do not. You have to pay your price. I paid my dues.
Yeah.
That's why, and for me, I went back into it again as a processor. And when I did it, I went backwards. I mean, back in the late '80s when I did sales, I made $60,000. I was like a millionaire. Mm-hmm. And when I came to Florida, I went back and I went and took a $17,000 processing salary with a $25 a bonus per file. And I was still super happy. And that's why I know I'm not money motivated. That just grew. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you guys a story because I think it's important. I was a top producer, let's just say from 2003, 4, 5, 6, and even 7, and the market crashed. Mm-hmm. I was with the company for 11 years. So I had saved a lot of money with them. It was something called deferred compensation, where you can defer your comp and not take it. So I had built up this whole big nest egg. Well, when the market crashed, the company went bankrupt. And I lost all of my savings of 11 years. The stock market crashed, so that was gone. I was in the middle of building 7 homes in Fort Myers. Well, the builders left, so now I had mortgages on all these 7 houses. Basically, I had to start from scratch. So I literally lost everything. I had saved enough where I was able to sell my bigger house and bought a place that I could have free and clear at least. But I said, all right, you know what? I'll just start again and I'll just do a few loans a month. But I was scared. I was a single mom. I had, 2 kids in high school, 1 in private school. I didn't want to take her out. And if I didn't have enough savings, then I would have had to taken her out. But anyway, so again, I never thought I would build to where I am today. Back then, being a top producer, I closed $60 million a year. Now I close over $200 million a year. That was not my goal. I just wanted to close a few loans a month and I was going to be happy. I'd changed my lifestyle completely. Mm-hmm. So just think, in 2007, after all those years, from 87, 30 years later, I was down to, I owned my own place free and clear. That's it. So it can, again, if I was money motivated, I would, just still be doing the same thing. It just happened. It grew again. And I still love what I do, like it was to the first day I did this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what are your thoughts on, because you said you were in the middle of building 7 homes in Fort Myers, leveraging like that. What are your thoughts on taking on that type of debt and making those types of moves? Because those are financial, so that you keep building your wealth, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on leveraging?
It's a great question. So by the way, I ended up losing all those houses. I short sailed them all. It was on my credit for a long time. It really stunk. So it was a good thing I was able to buy that other condo that I did. It wasn't until 2011 that I decided to try to buy a bigger house. But anyway, I still do a lot of different things today. So I still believe in real estate versus the stock market. I had always saved money in that stock market. But guess what? You save your whole life for 30 years and then it crashes. And guess what happens? You go down to zero. Mm-hmm. So I had an IRA that about 10 years ago, I bought a building with a self-directed IRA. That building today has tripled and in value, and I still get monthly income from it. So I'm still big into real estate. I still believe it comes back way faster than a stock market. So between my husband and I, we own a lot of property. So if God forbid something happened in the mortgage business tomorrow, I could say, all right, it was a wonderful run and I thank everybody and I would be fine. Yeah. So I believe in diversification. I have another small private lending company with an attorney who's a partner of mine. And of course, the mortgage business. Diversifying is really great. And I believe real estate is still, even though I lost it all back then, I still believe it's the way to go if you want to have financial freedom. And I actually teach a class on how to buy 5 homes in 5 years for my first-time home buyers.
Wow, really?
Mm-hmm. And the reason why you missed it all is because of the market crashed and everybody was upside down on the properties.
So what happened was I was able to pay cash for all the lots back in Lehigh for $40,000. Now they're probably worth 10. I think they're coming up now to 20. But so I paid, back then it was a good deal because the market was crazy. So I paid all these lots cash. I had used my savings, and then you get with a builder, and the builders all walked off the job because
Did you use all your savings?
I used, other than my IRA. But I had all my savings. Because then remember, I didn't think it was all my savings because I had like $1 million in my deferred compensation. Because remember, it was 11 years of me deferring income. Yeah. And then that was gone. You lose it all when a company goes bankrupt. I lost it all.
Yeah.
Wow.
Would you say, are you a risk taker?
No.
You're not?
No. Matter of fact, the money I do have in the stock market, which is very minimal, you deferred your 401ks that you do. They know, like, when you have to fill out forms, and I'm the least. I would rather just make 3-4% on my money. I don't need to make 10 or 12% and have a risk of it going down. I'm totally okay with just having it grow. I just don't want it to lose. Mm-hmm. So I am so not a risk taker. When we buy a property, actually, my husband goes there. He doesn't even let me see it because he thinks that I think that everything has to look like our house for me to buy it. So all I do is I run the numbers, return on investment. And he goes and decides whether we should buy it and how much work has to be done. And he comes home and he says, all right, this is how much it's going to cost. This is what we can get on rents. I put it in a formula, and that's how we buy our properties. I haven't even seen them. And we own a lot of them in Naples.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask you. Are they all in Naples, or are they Fort Myers? And
they're all in Naples. So I'm going to tell you one more thing. Yeah. So before the hurricane, we were going to buy one property that was in Bonita, but it was Collier. I wanted to have one water property. I was so excited to have this VRBO. It was this beautiful little house. We were getting it all fixed up, doing new bathrooms. I had furnished it, and then the hurricane came. Mm-hmm. Gone.
Wow.
I mean, that was like heartbreaking. God. Again, I don't buy properties unless it was a good deal. That's why it's really important to learn on that. My homeowner's insurance wouldn't pay. I got the flood insurance, and then I got an offer for the same amount of money to equal what we paid for it. And I took it and walked away. I wasn't going to take another risk and have to rebuild it, or wait for the homeowner's insurance to come in and fight them, because I'm not a risk taker. You know what? It was break even, and I walked away.
Were you a risk taker before you lost everything, or no?
I wouldn't say a risk taker, but I wasted more money. Mm-hmm. How's that? Whether it was gambling or, shopping. And, I worked with everything I made. I saved a little. I always saved, and that's how I was able to buy the other property, but I should have saved more. Yeah. So now whatever I make, I save 50% of what I make.
Do you think real estate, it's the number one vehicle for creating wealth?
Yes.
Yes.
I really do.
Are you doing short? You mentioned VRBO. You're doing short-term, long-term rentals, or multifamily, or just diversifying it? I
diversify. So we own a lot of multifamily. I think that is definitely the way to go. However, over the last few years, we have some. So that's mostly all long term. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't do those. Are 80% of our homes are multifamilies, from 2plexes to 12plexes. Mm-hmm. We own a few properties, 4 single family homes, 2 of them that I still use long term rental, and then 2 that are Airbnb VRBO.
Got it.
If you had to start all over again from zero, what will you do first? Will you buy your home or will
I
you
was gonna
buy
ask her that.
an investment property?
I would buy a primary, but that's a multifamily. So I would buy a duplex, triplex, or fourplex for somebody starting out, live in one side for at least a year, because then you could buy a house with 3.5% down. And then you work on coming back to me. And then the next one, you can go into a single family with 5% down. And then you move up again the year after that with another 5% down, and so forth and so forth. And in 5 years, you can own 5 properties, and the first one being a multifamily. And then you will build your wealth to probably pay your mortgage payment by the time you're in number 3.
Right.
Okay.
And this is, of course, generating that income to keep putting down.
Yeah.
Just think about it. Let's just say you spend, I'm going to give you a real number because things are high. Do not wait for rates to fall, because then the market's just going to go up and you're going to have thousands of more people in the game. So it's going to be hard for a first-time home buyer to compete. Buy now, you can refinance it later. Let's just say you buy a $500,000 duplex and your payment is $4,000. I don't know what it is. I'm just saying. And you get $2,500 from one side, because rents are big. So now it's costing you $1,500 to live. So now you keep that for a year, and then next year you buy a $600,000 single family home and your payment's $5,000 a month. However, your mortgage payment is $4,000, and you're getting now $5,000 for rents on your multifamily. So you have $1,000 going
Free home.
towards your mortgage payment. And again, and then I always tell people, make one extra payment a year. You'll end up being paid off in about 21 years versus 30, plus it reduces your principal balance. So whenever you have extra money, don't go wasting it on, shopping, jewelry, cars. I mean, I see so many people and in the mortgage business, real estate business, and they're, always showing their cars. And I'm happy for them. And I think it's great. And listen, I have nice cars too. 30 some odd years later. I used to drive a Pontiac Trans Am, and I would have I thought I was super, super rich when I had a Nissan Maxima. I mean, seriously, we just were different. But now you see everybody with these fancy cars. Don't put it into a car, because you don't get your money back.
Right.
Really put it into
just
your
talking
real
about this.
estate.
Yeah,
What do you think about people? What do you think about people saying? What do you think about paying off vehicles?
I mean, if you can write it off, don't pay them off for a vehicle. I'd
Right.
rather see you put that extra money into your house where you're building equity. And remember, a vehicle, the second you drive off on a vehicle, you lose
liability,
money.
yeah.
So, I mean, and if you can write it off, if you're in sales, you can write off a portion of that. So you might as well keep your payment as long as your interest rate is low. And, don't have a big payment. I mean, when I see some of these people who are making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, and their car payments are $1,200 and $1,300 a month, I'm like,
Yeah. That's not more smart.
and I know it's exciting, and I mean, that's the sad part about social media, to be seen.
It's almost like it hooks you, right? There's so many different distractions or things along the way, like cars, like the shiny objects, right? That kind of get you, but they lock you into this. You're almost working every day just to pay bills. I have a question about the fourplex. With the fourplex, you can put FHA on a fourplex, right? After 4 doors, it goes into investment property.
That would be a more commercial.
Got it.
Correct. So FHA is up to 4 family.
Okay.
And I'm not saying commercial's bad. Like I said, after the crash, I had still had, remember, I was doing this for 30 years, guys. I should have had $8 or $9 million saved. Okay, so I had this still $1 million that sat there for 30 years, never making crap, because it would go up and then it would come right back down. So that's why I don't, love that particular market. So I had read about this thing called a self-directed IRA, and I said, you know what, I'm going to look into it, and I did. And I bought this 12-plex for $1 million. Well, that 12-plex today is worth $3 million, and I get $18,000 a month for it. So, and I don't even charge a lot in rents. I mean, we rent to a facility that needs it, that helps people be rehabilitated. But just think, if I really wanted to get top dollar, I could probably even get more. So I still have the same asset, even if it was only still worth $1 million. I can't use the income. It goes right back into the IRA. And again, that was actually hurt in the hurricane too. So we ended up having to
put some money in.
put a couple of $100,000 back into it, but it was there because of all the income it generated, and now it's building up again. But that's my future, and anybody can do that. Even if you're 25, and even if you have $30,000 in your IRA, you can buy a property with part of that, and then the part that you get for income can go back into that as income. But it's a great way to buy property.
Yeah.
And you can use the rent from the property to get qualified for the property, right?
Yeah, so if you're buying a fourplex, you can use your rent. So let's just say $1,500 each side. That's $4,500 of income. So if somebody is making $50,000 a year, okay, but they want this, and then I have basically they're making
Another
2,000 to qualify on a $500,000 house. So it might work if they don't have a lot of debt, if they don't have a $1,200 car payment.
And you can always roll over the property that you have onto more doors, right? A bigger property. Like if you have a 12-door property and you want to sell, but then you can roll that everything into like another deal, right?
So that's a 1031 exchange. So let's just say now you buy an investment. So you already live in your property now and you want to keep it, right? But let's just say you have another property and you want to sell it and you're going to make like $500,000 and you don't want to pay the capital gains. You could take whatever you sell that property for and you could buy another property and not pay taxes on it. That's called a 1031. I'm not the expert. I only know because I personally have done it a few times. So it basically you're not paying your 15 or your whatever your capital gains is. But at some point you will have to pay it when you're going to sell it and make a profit.
Yeah.
You're deferring it.
Yeah.
When you started in this industry, did you ever think that you'd be where you're at today?
I was super happy on my $17,000 a year. I know people don't believe that, but I swear to you. I mean, it was a long time. I mean, my husband and I first met here on the beach, and, we were both, by the time we had got married and had a kid, we were both happy. We were each making like $40,000 or $45,000 a year. Super happy. When I left, I actually worked for a builder. I worked for Centex Homes. I started their mortgage company here for them in 1989. I don't know if you've ever heard of Pulte Homes. Pulte came to Lee County in 1994. And the person who was in charge of sales at Centex went to Pulte. And he asked me to start their mortgage company for him, like my own baby, to start it here. And I did. And I was leaving my job of a salary to be on commission, and my salary back then in 94 was like $60,000. So my parents, my husband are like, "Are you crazy? You can't leave your cushy job." So nobody wanted me to leave that, but I decided, I'm like, I feel it. I just took a chance. So like I said, not money motivated. I gave up this job. So no, I never thought that I would be, the success that I am today. I'm super grateful every day. And literally I pinch myself. I walk outside, I walk my puppies in the morning, and I'm like, God, this is my life. And I'm just very grateful.
What is success to you today? And has it changed from maybe what you thought success was
a few years back
when you were starting?
When I started, I never thought, oh my God, I want to be rich. I want to be successful. I want to be famous. I never thought any of those things. Back in my day, it's different today. When you graduated college, a goal was just to have a job. Nobody, when you interviewed, didn't say, how much money am I going to make? How much vacation time am I going to get? You didn't. You were just so happy to get into a job and a career. You felt like that was a huge deal. Everybody was so proud of me. So success today, and I tell people, if God forbid I left here and I died today, I can rest in peace because I have the most amazing kids. And I know that I've left them in a really great place and they love me and I love them. So I wanted to be on my grave, magnificent mother and mortgage master. And but that is real. So I feel like I said, I feel so blessed that when people say, hey, how are you? Sometimes I'm afraid to answer because I am so lucky. I mean, I have a phenomenal husband. I have 3 phenomenal kids, 3 stepchildren, and then these new grandbabies. So my daughter just had twins Monday, and then I have the 2-year-old. So now I have these babies and they all live near me. So I get to see them every day. So there's nothing I would trade. My parents live here. They're still married. They're healthy. My in-laws live here, still married, healthy, active. My dad is 81 years old. He's a salesperson. He's a loan officer. He's worked for me for 26 years. He still works every day. 81.
Wow.
So, I mean, seriously, like, my life is so
You're
good.
blessed.
I mean, right? That's why we just really want to give back, because we're so lucky.
Yeah.
So we want to help people. We have all, by the way, I didn't even mention all of our bonus children that we have that we love. My husband's like, please don't bring any more kids home today. So there is really nothing. I would say give back to your community, you know, do the right thing by your clients, be available to speak on the phone, answer your emails, and just get the job done. If you say something, mean it. Don't just say to just talk. You know, I have people come in to try to sell me things all the time, and then I try to give them business in other ways, and it's all words. You know, they have the best words, but there's no actions, and I'm very honest. So that's the one thing people will say, you know, you don't always have to be so honest. I have to be, because I'm not going to give you business because your actions so don't match your words. I don't, you know, care about your fluff talk.
Yeah.
Do the deal. I mean, you know, say what you're going to do, answer your phones, email me, and get me your approvals on anything that I ask you to do, whether it's insurance companies, survey companies, other brokers in the area, whatever it is. If you say you're going to do it and you say how wonderful you are, then be wonderful. Under promise and over deliver.
I want to be like you when I grow up.
No, I love this conversation.
Yeah.
Going
very
back just a
inspiring.
little bit to, you said the first thing you will do will be to get a fourplex, right? And then
If I was going to start again, yes.
and for how long will
Not
you?
a duplex.
Any of them,
Yeah.
duplex
Any
or
of
fourplex. So you just have to see. But the way, I mean, if you can afford it,
Yeah.
you know, and you have thick skin, because listen, things go wrong, guys. Like
Right.
even with me on my Airbnbs, my husband handles all of the yearlies, but I handle the local Airbnbs. And when the pool heater, why isn't my pool heater, you know, this? Or, do you know where the dish towels are? I mean, like, it's not like I'm not busy enough during the day. So I have to deal with this. So you have to have thick skin, and you have to answer even when somebody's driving you crazy.
Right.
Because you're going to get that review. So duplex, triplex, fourplex, if I was going to start again, yes.
Yeah, but if you were going to buy a home for 500,000, you might as well just go to a fourplex, right? If you can,
want-
if you
Fourplex for that is a little hard right now in Naples, right?
Well, there's Benita. You know, you're going to have to make concessions. Do you think my first place that I bought wasn't a place, you know, that I would live in today, although it's adorable. I mean, when I first bought my place, it was at Emerald Lakes, a little condo, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. I mean, it was $68,000. And let me tell you, I had to borrow my down payment from my uncle at that time to,
Really?
you know, it was 10%. They didn't have smaller down payments then. Wow. That was a lot
So
of
there's
money.
never. Do you think there's ever a perfect time, or do you just have to pull the trigger on what?
Pull the trigger. I know the non-perfect times keep saying when this is going to happen, when that's going to happen, because then it's never. I mean, I still buy properties today. I just have never stopped.
Yeah, I feel like you're. Like you're such a go-getter. Like I know that.
It sounds like she's a risk taker.
Yeah, like I know we mentioned like that you're not, or you mentioned that you're not a big risk taker, and that you're not driven by money, but you have a lot of drive clearly, because it's not in the norm to, you know, own a successful business, have a lot of people under you, have a lot of people mentioning like talking really good about you, like Lauren, you have to go see Lauren, like she's great with this, you know, and then on top of that, all these investments, right, that you guys that you and your husband have. So I feel like something is, you know, because I know that money is usually the result, right, of hard work, usually, or doing good, something good, I feel. Maybe not in every case, but usually the reward, if you're helping more people or doing more things, usually that comes with kind of that more money, right? More abundance, whether that's relationship capital or actual, transactional currency. But I don't know. I think that I know, like, you're not driven by money, but all the moves that you make, it sounds like.
I know it sounds like it is.
Not that it's money driven, but you know.
If I have a shirt that says "I make money move," and I have friends. Believe it, most of my friends have probably $5 in the bank. I mean, again, you hear people and they talk, they want to be friends with this person, they're excited about this person, it's all because they're famous or have a lot of money. I don't care. I am so not motivated by people who are famous, people who are rich, people who are popular. I like a person for a person. So if I walked in here and we weren't on here, I want to get to know you. I want to know your story. Tell me about your family. I like to know where you came from. I really like to get to know the person who's in my life as my friend. So again, I know it's really weird to say that I'm not money motivated, but I'm telling you that
But you know how to make it. I mean,
it happens.
Right.
I get excited. I think that's just about, because I do have drive. I want to be the best, whatever I do, whether, I was, a bartender, whether I was a daycare worker, whether I worked in a hospital, whatever it is, I want to do the best. And I'm going to give you one more piece of advice of this. Do any of you have children?
Yes, we do.
we have 2 girls.
Okay. That's awesome. Kids are the best. My children are 31, 30. And 14. Sadly, my 14-year-old probably is the most spoiled. But if you met her, you wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. But my 31-year-old and my 30-year-old, very hard workers. My son works for me. My daughter's a nurse. She had the babies Monday. She worked until Thursday afternoon carrying twins. She still worked full time. Okay. Hardworking, and I don't just give. Like if you met them, you would never know. They have any money, because truthfully they don't. I mean, I had them in my early 20s, so I mean, until I'm dead, they really won't. And if I do die, then they can't even get the principal until they're 50, and they have to continue working a 38-hour work week. It's in my will. Okay, so don't spoil your kids. Make them value money. It's really important. Last night, my daughter left this morning, my 14-year-old, to go to Orlando with her friend, and she's like, "Hey, Mom, I want to put this thing on your phone." And so she pulled it up, and it was Bible verses. She goes, "Hey, so while I'm gone," and then we pray in the morning on her way to school. She goes, "Now you can pull it up and have your morning prayer." Like a spoiled kid who's just money motivated would never do that with her mom when I come home from work at 8:00 at night and I now have a Bible app on my phone. And we're Jewish. So, I mean, I love the fact that she knows the Old Testament, learning the New Testament, vice versa. I just think it's great. So don't spoil your kids. Let them understand the value of money and that it's much more important to have empathy and be kind to people and to help somebody else versus asking you or for them first. So like I said, we give back to Immokalee with all the holidays, with Halloweens, actually we haven't done Easter. Nobody's asked me, which is strange. They normally ask me, but back to school. So my older kids, I used to go out to Immokalee every month with sneakers and we would bring food out there. And now we just go for the holidays. But it's super important that they learn how other people live and not everybody just has what we have in Naples, because there were so many kids that just have so much. And I can tell you that the ones that grow up and they just are given are normally not successful. They might have money, but that doesn't mean they're successful.
Yeah. There's a lot of information and misinformation online. What do you think about like people that say rent, don't buy?
I mean, I'm not going to be politically correct, but I would say dumb.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, sorry if I'm hurting anyone's feelings, but that just, you're throwing money out the door. Now, if you're in a long-term rental and you're paying $800 or $1,200 a month, that might be a different story. Okay.
Usually those people own a lot of rental properties. And why you rent in their space?
Because you want to, you can't build your future financial freedom without owning a property.
Right.
Because even if you're paying today what you can just make it to affordability, you're building equity in that property.
Which I think they're referring a little bit more to buy investment property instead of buying your home first.
Again, I don't agree with that either, because remember, you want to build roots as well. And eventually that home that you're going to buy, you'll eventually build equity where you can maybe get an equity line or refinance it with cash out as it builds equity. And then you can buy another property with that money. So you can make money on a piece of property you already own.
Yeah. So with your experience, you said you will do investment property first before a home now.
No. I would do a primary, but have it be a multifamily, because it's only the first time that you can do an FHA loan at 3.5% down. If you already own a single family, most lenders are not going to believe that you're going to own a 2,000 square foot single family to go buy a multifamily and live in a 1-1 or a 2-1. Okay, so I would buy the first one, live in it for a year, and then move up from there. But I would buy a multifamily and live in one side.
Yeah.
Multifamily means like duplex,
triplex.
What is the requirement? Like, are you able to leave one of the apartments open and rent the other ones, or you have to literally physically be there in order for it to be like your first time? I think these are great questions because a lot of people want to buy investment property, but maybe the location that they're buying the investment property, they don't want to live there for a year.
But it's not technically an investment property.
Well, not investment property. Yeah, I mean the term changes, but the actual purchase.
He's saying like if you go into a fourplex and technically you're supposed to live in one door, but some people don't ever physically move in.
Well, that's actually, if they do that and it's on your application, it's a primary, and if it was ever audited, that's a felon. Yeah. I mean, it's a felony for real. I mean, so I am going to tell you, if you come to me and you want to buy a primary home, you need to live in it for 1 year. Mm-hmm. Yeah. However, if circumstances change, let's just say in 6 months, you meet somebody, you get married, and they have another house. And of course, you can leave. If you got a job transfer, let's just say you move in there with your wife and you get pregnant. Now you're pregnant with twins. You're going to outgrow it. Things happen. Yeah. But your intent is to live in it. Now, if you do your application and you say you're going to live in it, you never move into it, and they find out. Right. And there are cases that it's been audited. Yeah. I mean, they will, even if it's a year later, you're going to have to answer.
And you only have to live in there for 12 months.
12 months. So basically, you know how like everybody has instant gratification? Mm-hmm. Suck it up for 1 year. Yeah. It's 1 year of your life. You're going to build financial freedom.
Yeah, but this is crazy. I'm so sorry. Mm-hmm. This is crazy because it was a great information what you just gave, because there's so much information online. Yeah. And they say one thing. Like, it gets to a point that people, even us, we get some information now because we're in digital marketing. We understand how the game, works online. So we don't really pay attention to everything that we see online. But not a lot of people. A lot of people just follow what everybody says. So
it's a great question. Yeah. I have people that'll start with me for a mortgage, and then they'll be snipping me things online. Well, I heard this. Well, I heard that. And I stop them right there. I said, listen, if you want to use me as your mortgage professional, you're going to have to trust me. I'm your advisor. If you don't trust me and you feel that you get better advice online, you might want to find yourself an online lender. Mm-hmm. Okay? Because you can't listen to your brothers, your cousins, everybody knows, right? Everybody has a friend in the industry and they said that. If you chose me to do your mortgage, I assume it's because you felt that I could have value for you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if I was coming to do a podcast, right? Do you want me to come here and tell you, oh no, this should be faced this way, that should be faced that way? I heard that my speaker should be down. Mm-hmm. Listen to the professional. I will stop them right there and say, you have to trust me because I will guide you through everything. Mm-hmm. Misinformation. If you want to buy an investment property and you don't want to live there, then that's 20% down. Right. It's a big difference. Do you have 20% down, and now the seller can only pay 2% towards your closing costs. If it's a primary home, you can buy that with a 580 credit score, 3.5% down, and that you can get the seller to pay all 6% of your closing costs, which means we might be able to take that money and use it as a buy down. So instead of a normal rate right now at 6.75, maybe we can get you in at 4.75 year one, 5.75 year two. I mean, that's where we really need to collaborate with my client, you as the homeowner buying, myself, and a professional real estate agent. And who you hire matters as well. I'm going to tell you, I know every single person has a relative now who just has their real estate license. Be really careful because there are times that you might not get your offer accepted if they don't know who the realtor is, if they don't know who your mortgage person is. They want to work with successful people too. If you were a listing agent, you were going to sell your house. If there were 3 mortgage commitments that came in with your offers, right? And you didn't know 2 of the realtors, you never heard from them. They were from Miami or somebody you looked up and you saw they were just licensed 6 months ago, and you had 3 out-of-state lenders. Would you really want to pick any of those to now tie up your home off the market for 30 days? Mm-hmm. So it's super important on who you hire really matters, because the listing agent, the listing realtor, and the seller is going to look at all of that. Right. There are many times a seller will call me and say, hey, Lauren, I don't know you. I got this commitment letter. Can you tell me about you and how solid are your people? And I said, I can't say a lot about my people, but if they're solid or I wouldn't have had my name in it. But I said, Google me. That's what I tell people, because when you build a reputation, look at my Google reviews. And I think it's important. Who you hire matters. If you guys are ever going to list it, don't just use your friend or a relative. Really look at who the people are who do the business, who make money move.
Yeah.
You said 580?
580 credit score. And guess what? I have clients who have money, but they've never been taught about credit. I mean, a lot of the, different cultures don't teach you about credit, right? They only teach you about how to spend money. So I have people with a 500 credit score, but they have money, or they can get money from a gift. 500 credit score with 10% down on an FHA loan. I mean, but the standard is 580. That's it. And again, even if you're at 560, 520, even if I could do your mortgage at that time, I'm still going to show you how you can get it higher so that your rate and your fees become lower.
Lauren, we're going to be talking a lot.
It's
Yeah.
No, it's so.
I love it.
It's
No,
so.
but I'm sorry, from just so that I don't lose it, because I have so many questions. From the first property, what you would do is, it's not like I want to get your 30-year plan, right? But at least for the first and second, would you...
First five homes in 5 years.
So would you buy the next property? Would it be a fourplex as well, or would it be a home?
So
Your
if it was the perfect world, the perfect storm, okay, buy a fourplex. And truthfully, if you know people or if you can do any of the fix-it work, I tell people, buy the shittiest one in the neighborhood that's the cheapest. Because believe it or not, cabinets, paint, cosmetics don't cost a lot.
Right.
Okay? I mean, that's what we do. We buy the crappiest houses, and then we just put a little bit of work into them, and now they're all tripled, quadrupled, whatever. I would buy a fourplex. I would live in one side for a year, and
so you keep moving.
And then the next year maybe go to a duplex or a triplex, because if it's better and bigger than the one you're in, you can still do it on a multi. Perfect world: fourplex, threeplex, duplex, year 4 single family home. All of those rents are going to be paying for that $600,000-$700,000 single family home when you're ready. I mean, if you can do it, that's in your perfect plan. That's what I'd be doing.
And you're talking about 5 years.
5 years, 5 homes in 5 years. Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who's like, oh yeah, but I don't want to move every year?
Don't be lazy. What do you want? I mean, seriously. I mean, do you want to, like where I'm at today? I mean, there are people in their 50s, where I'm at today that still have $10 in the bank and they're living paycheck to paycheck. So if you don't want to live, no problem. Then you live like that. If you would like to have financial freedom by the time you're in your 40s, 50s, early 60s, and not just have to worry about living on Social Security, do my plan.
But my question is, because the
after this
multifamilies are normally like in not so good areas, correct?
Not so much anymore. They're building really nice ones in different areas. I mean,
Really?
You might have to get out of
have kids. You have to think about that too. You're not just gonna move. I mean, for investment, yeah, whatever.
How old are your kids?
9 and 5.
So you probably want to stay in the school district.
Yeah.
And again, that's a sacrifice.
Yeah, and not only that, but they go to a school that's fine. The school district it's not a requirement, but it's more like the area, because that's where they're going to be living. So I don't want to go all, not to offense anybody, but like Golden Gate City or like places like that.
Why? Do you see your neighbors a lot now? Do you hang out in your neighborhood?
No.
Okay. I rest my case.
Do your kids go out and play?
Right?
No.
There's so many things you can take them. There's
Kids don't even go out and play.
No,
Baker Park, the Greenway. I mean, look at the Vineyards Park. There's things that you can do. I was just driving. I actually did a real estate course. I spoke at a real estate course 2 weeks ago when I was driving through Bonita, because it was in Bonita. And I can tell you, they're really cleaning that place up. I was like, oh my gosh, this was so cute. So again, that's, I hate to say stinking thinking, but you're not thinking long term. You're thinking of your kids. You think your kids are going to remember when you're able to help them buy their first house, right?
Or the other option would be...
It's more like security, like...
Do you own a gun?
No.
Buy one. I'm not telling you to live in the slums. That's not what I'm saying.
The other thing
is 1 year.
What's a plan?
No, because the next year I'm moving to another one.
But they're not. That used to be where they were bad areas. There's beautiful duplexes and multis going in lots of places.
You see how God works? We were having this conversation. We were having a conversation last night about all this. And I love that Lauren said all this.
That's why people tell us, talk to Lauren.
But you can do 3.5% on the second home, right?
5%.
5%.
3.5 is just on the first one.
On the first one because it's FHA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you keep that.
Yeah.
Okay, now listen, let's just say you said, you know what, we've talked about it. We don't want to do multifamily, even though it's the smartest thing for us.
I want to, for sure, yeah.
But let's just say you don't. Okay, so the first one down on a single family home, I could do it at 3% on a conventional loan. Okay, and then hopefully, you stay there for a year or two, and then you build enough equity in it, and then maybe we do an equity line so that in a couple of years you'll have that 20% down payment between that and your savings to do an investment one completely.
Right.
I'm just telling you the cheapest way to get in it and to build your real estate wealth faster is my way.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to be comfortable like your wife, and that's okay.
Because the other way will be put 20% on a fourplex.
The second one.
Right, but that's if you want to come up with.
And that's going to be much more money.
Right. So you're talking $500,000. That's $100,000 versus
You don't have to convince me. You sold me a lot. I've always been one. I just need a little stamp on it because
versus 17,000.
That's a good plan.
15,000
But let's
versus
do the
like
duplex
17,000.
We don't have other neighbors.
it's 3.5. Yeah.
no, because you want to.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, like I said,
we have to rent it.
there's no right or wrong. You're asking me my advice in a perfect world.
Yeah.
I'm giving you my perfect world advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you could get pretty close, right? Like in this situation, like around these areas, you could get pretty close to your advice, right?
I think you can. Again, I think you can. I think now is the time. Sellers are ready. Sellers are negotiating now.
Do you want to sell any of your duplex?
No. And you know why?
Why?
Because I have made so much money on them, I'd have to pay
Renting
capital gains. No, and so they give me income, and then I'd have to just pay capital gains, which means I'd have to go buy something else for me not to. So I just sit on my properties. At one point, if I decide to, listen, I don't think I'm going to retire till I'm dead, truthfully, but let's just say I want to slow down in 5 years. I can live off of all of these rents, so why would I sell them?
Right.
There's just no reason. Eventually, I'll live off of them, and then hopefully, give them to my children, and they'll be in a trust for my kids, and hopefully they'll take care of them.
Yeah. Our grandma, she's 103 years old, and everybody, it's always like, what's the secret sauce, right? Like, what did you eat? Did you take care of yourself? And she really had an open life. Like, she sometimes she drinks, but she owns a few properties, and she never, I never seen her work. I know she lives from the rents. So do you think the stress could be a big factor, meaning like she was not that she didn't have a stress because she had to take care of the properties and all that, but it's a different way of living, without really thinking, I have to.
She has financial freedom.
Like without being paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
That's true. It could be. I mean, listen, I still get stressed. I won't lie. I mean, things stressful.
Yeah.
I mean, my work is still stressful, but I feed off of it and I love it. And, it's non-stressful more than it is stressful, even though, it's long days and I work a lot. But everybody's going to be different. But isn't that amazing that she at 103 is still living and she's able to live off of her properties and probably just gets a little bit of Social Security?
She's the only one in her family from my dad's or my mom's side that owns property, and she's the one that's always been great,
financially free.
Isn't that now? I don't know where those properties are going, but maybe she wants to sell you one of hers and give you a gift of equity. So listen to this: when you buy a property from a family member, they can actually, if there's equity left in the house, so let's just say the house is worth $400, but they're going to sell it to you for $350. They could give you that difference on paper, a gift of equity, so that you can come in with zero to buy the property. Just letting you know.
Right.
And they would still make their money.
Creative ways, yeah.
Yeah. All the properties are in Peru.
Really? Okay. Well, you're right. So, hopefully she's leaving them all to you. But so how does she handle that here? What about her maintenance? Do you ever ask her about that? I bet you can learn things from her.
Oh yeah, last time we were there,
I asked her.
we asked her so many questions.
I had a podcast interview style with her, just asking her for hours, just a bunch about property and how she got into it, because we have a really big family, and out of all our elders, like my grandmas, she's the one that just is the most financially stable, and she's the one that has properties under her. So,
and she's still healthy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it.
She's returning 104.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Incredible.
so yeah, we ask her a lot of questions. Not so much on what she did with how she lived, but more her plan. But you could see it. We could see it. We can see how property was a big, because she lives with other family, and up until now, like she's the one that takes care of everything. So it's just interesting to see. And numbers don't lie. Right.
God, I wish she lived here. I'd love to meet her.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I don't necessarily want to be living at 103 unless I look and feel and I'm, skinny and all that. But when it's my time, it's my time.
And she knows where everything is going. Like, let's say she gives you money to go buy something, and she's like, we're missing $1 here. And then it gives
at 103.
It makes you think, right? It makes you think, not because she's got this and that. She let go on controlling.
She's not wasting.
Like she's always aware of things and where everything is at, and I guess that reflects on her success.
And that now we waste a lot of money. I mean, do you guys drink coffee?
Yes.
How much do you spend on Starbucks a week or whatever?
No Starbucks.
I do my instant coffee here.
You do? Okay, well that's good.
I don't like.
Oh, we were talking just about that too.
I don't like anything recurring.
$4 a day is.
You know what gets
up.
us is the going out to dinners.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That was
all right. Well, just think $4 a day on one coffee. That's if you don't buy it for your spouse or any of your kids. That's like almost $1,500 a year. Yeah. That's $125. It may be more, but let's just say $125 a month. And then when somebody says to me, "Oh, it's too much money. We don't want to spend. We need to be at $150 less," I was like, "Give up coffee." Yeah. I mean, right? I don't drink coffee, so it's easy for me to say. Yeah. But we waste a lot of money in this society.
And we don't notice it, but
do you feel that you ever got caught up in the lifestyle as you started to make more money? You started to spend more, and then maybe you had to check yourself, like, oh, what am I doing? I have to keep making more money, but maybe hold on to it and put it into something else.
The crash, I'm telling you, I was scared. So imagine I'm a single mom. My kids were, again, I think that one was in high school, one middle school in 2007. 14 and 15. So I had just left my company because I thought they were going to go bankrupt, and I wanted to try to save that deferred compensation. So I left and I started my own company, and I went to this big company called First Magnus, and I was all excited about all my own equipment. I had a ton of loans in, and I would get up at 6 a.m. before I took my kids to school. And I remember checking my email, and it was like, it's with a heavy heart and a sad face that we're now shut down. We have no more money to lend. And I'm thinking, they can't be talking about me because I have so many deals, and no, this is real. And all of a sudden, about 10 minutes later, I put on the news, and it's like every company was imploding each day. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh my God, like I'm a single mom. I'm in this big house. I spent a lot of money. I drove 2 cars. My kids would go to their dad's a couple of nights a week. I'd go gambling. I'd go shopping. Yeah, it was a real wake-up call. It was scary. And then again, the stock market, I have these properties, and then to find out 60 days later that the company that I left went bankrupt. So that's when I found out that I lost all that money. It was scary as can be. Mm-hmm. I mean, so yes, today I don't gamble anymore. If I do go to a place, it's minimal, where it used to be thousands, now maybe a couple $100, here and there. I don't shop like I used to. You just go travel and go shopping. I do have nice cars, so I can't say that. However, but it was a long time before I built up to actually, having those nicer cars. I was very happy with again, I moved into my condo in the Vineyards. I was able to pay for it free and clear. I had to get rid of all my other houses. Right. And I had no other property. So guys, when I tell you I only started redoing this, in 2013. So it wasn't that long ago. In the past 11 years is where I have built with all my properties. I didn't own all of these before. Wow. So I literally, when I'm telling you it was from scratch, it was from scratch. Okay? Yeah. So yes, I've changed my lifestyle, and I totally think of money differently when I 100%.
Yeah. Money can go so fast, right?
What a waste when I think about the money that I, would waste before 2007. Because who could have imagined that you're doing so well year after year after year? And yeah, you're spending, 80% of what you're making, but it's just nobody expected it. Literally happened almost overnight that the market happened.
Yeah.
Like that. So yes, as I rebuild and what I do now and the chances I take are only if God forbid I lost it, it would have no effect on my future.
Mm-hmm.
Lauren, can you buy happiness with money?
No. That I know so many wealthy people, and I can tell you from the outskirts and watching them on social media, and then me seeing them out and pretending they're happy, I know that they're not. So no, you have to be happy from within. I mean, listen, money is, if you lose everything and you have money, and let's just say you lose everything, when I mean, let's just say, God forbid you had death, or God forbid you get divorced, or whatever it is, you have money. Is it easier to be able to, fly away somewhere, or go on this vacation, go move somewhere? Yeah. However, you're not happy.
Right.
It just makes your life a little more comfortable than, God forbid, you have a crisis and then have no money.
Do you think it maximizes who you are?
No. That really comes from within. 100% who you surround yourself with. The phonies and the fakes, they're not going to be there for you, at the end. So in your inner circle, keep your people close and really know them, because those are the ones who would be there for you in times of need. And I've been through divorces. Mm-hmm. I've been through a crash. My same core people are in my life today. I have my same friends. So have I added to my group? Sure. A couple, not many. I have thousands of great acquaintances. But on these two hands, when I tell you I have my close friends that I could call right now, if God forbid I fell down the stairs, oh my God, can you come and get me? They would be here. Mm-hmm. And keep those people close, because it has nothing to do with money. We're all here for each other, with money or not.
If you were in one of your employees' position, what do you think they will think about you?
I think that they admire me for my hard work, my dedication, knowing that I'm always there to answer them, to answer my clients. They also might say I'm a hard ass and I'm a pain in the ass, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's part of the game, right?
If I was a man, it would be different. When you're a woman and you're tough on somebody, and I'm not playing the woman card because I've gotten so far in life, but I'm just saying the only thing that I would say is when you hear, I've heard I've been called the queen of mean in my field. But if I was a man, I wouldn't be. That's the only difference. But when I hear people say, oh yeah, we need to empower women, women are plenty empowered. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you, for me as a woman, you have to make choices, even having children. When I had my kids, I had to miss lots of different things at their events. I couldn't go to everything, just like a dad can't. Yeah. So there were sacrifices. I couldn't always be home for dinner. My kids would know that. So you can't, you can have it all, but you can't. You can't be a mom that's home at 3:00 and is there with dinner on the table at 5:30 and have a successful career. Yeah. I think, you have to give and take. Yeah. So, today, I've raised 3 children now, and again, 31, 30, and now 14. They never expect me to be home at 5:30. Every once in a while, if I do come home because I'm changing for an event, she'll look at me like I have 6 heads. What are you doing here? They like their space. They're all very independent, but you can't have it all that way. So when they say a woman can't get as far as a man, they can if they want to work that way. And I hate to say that, but I really believe it.
Yep.
Yeah. What's one piece of advice that you would give your younger self?
Buy real estate in Naples in the 80s. But other than that, I would say I like learning, and I liked the things that happened in my life, whether it was going through a divorce, whether it was losing everything I had, because it makes you stronger. And then you can't appreciate, if you never have failures, you can't appreciate all the good. That's why I appreciate life every day. I've had lots of failures. I remember, things that have happened in my life. They're not always everything great. There was something that happened at, my daughter went to a school, and there was just something that happened there. It wasn't very good. And I was like, oh my gosh, did I just, ruin her time at the school? And then once we ended up switching, it was the best thing that could have happened. However, you can't appreciate all the good if you don't go through the bad.
Right.
And I think failures are the best thing that can teach everybody more than you could ever learn just from being on the street. Mm-hmm. Because it teaches you just to, when it's good, appreciate it. Never take it for granted, whether it's money, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your kids, whether it's a relationship, whether it's your parents. Just appreciate it every day because it could just change in an instant.
Right. Right. What's one word you would use to describe life?
Awesome.
I have these rapid fire questions. These are just random questions. What digital or software tools do you use daily to make your life easier?
My computer.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
If you can only eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Gummy bears.
Do you prefer winter or summer?
Summer.
What is your favorite holiday?
I think I like Christmas.
Christmas?
Yeah, I mean, I like them all, but Christmas is fun.
Do you prefer to relax at the beach or pool?
Pool.
Fifth Ave or Mercado?
Fifth Ave.
If you can only work 2 hours a week, what would you do in those 2 hours?
Well, it would never be possible, but I would answer emails.
A book you'd recommend to read?
I haven't read books as far as the ones that you're asking me about, business books, because truthfully, I learn from what I do every day. But when I've been through hard times before, there were a lot of Deepak Chopra books that I like. And if you're really going to read a book and you just want to be inspired, read the Bible.
If you can have lunch with anyone dead or alive, who would it be?
Donald Trump.
What's your favorite restaurant in Naples?
Chops.
When you think of the word successful, who comes to mind?
Lauren Maxwell.
If you can choose any other career path, what would it be?
Decorator.
What's been your best investment?
Real estate, real estate, real estate.
What's a bad piece of advice you've heard people telling others?
Don't buy real estate.
I love it. Lauren, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you,
You're
Lauren.
so welcome. You guys are
Appreciate it.
great.
It was great meeting you.
Thank you.